Which is the best and the worst movie of each animation studio? I believe that this would be quite self-evident. Probably the best of Pixar is either Up or Toy Story. DreamWorks' worst is clearly Shark Tale. However, upon researching the subject matter and visiting the IMDb ratings, I was truly shocked to find what I had seen. I absolutely agreed with some of these decisions. Others? Well, I have a few things to say. Today we are going studio by studio. Big companies such as Pixar and Disney to smaller companies such as Laika and Blue Sky. We are considering the best rated movies and the worst rated movies based on IMDb. And good warning, some of them may sting. Chapter 1. Pixar, the king of consistency. We can begin with the large one. Pixar. WALL-E has the top rating of all the Pixar movies at 8.4 in IMDb. The thing is though, with Pixar, I would have guessed that this was 50 other movies. Toy Story, Up, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, one of those could have won the first place. But I can completely know why it is WALL-E. Some of the most beautiful sequences in the whole cinema can be found in this film, and it is the person who puts the Lego movie in his or her top 4 on Letterboxd. But that scene in which WALL-E is holding his hand, the dance in space, the utter silence of the first act, this is sufficient enough to qualify it as the best movie of Pixar. It is grandiose, it is heart-wrenching, and it looks beautiful. But now, moving to another sci-fi, the worst Pixar film is Lightyear. It is no longer Cars 2. I know, Lightyear has a 6.1 rating on IMDb, and I cannot say that I do not deserve it. I was so excited about this film. I personally find the trailer to be one of the best trailers ever. I listened to it continuously. The concept of a sci-fi action movie by Pixar was simply so thrilling to me, but rather, we obtained whatever this. Chapter 2. Sony Pictures Animation, A Tale of Two Spider-Verses. Then there is Sony Pictures Animation. In this case, therefore, the question is, which is the best rated movie, Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse? It is Across the Spider-Verse with a rating of 8.5 at IMDb. In my mind, the first film is more decent at the moment as it is freestanding, and it is the one that initiated it all. However, at the same time, yes, I prefer this one. There is nothing to say about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse that has not already been said. Honestly, nothing. Let's move on. Huge surprise. Emoji Movie is the lowest rated Sony Pictures Animation film at a horrific 3.4 on IMDb. This is by far the worst of the studio, and the catalog is not precisely something to be proud of. I get the impression that they were attempting to make this movie bad. On the one hand, they cast James Corden, which is an automatic death sentence in any movie. But to make it worse, the jokes are not funny. They are superficial to an extreme. The conversation is not even sensible at times or very clumsy. The narrative is nothing. The characters are nothing. The editing is even bad in some cases. I do not even know how they got that wrong. This film has nothing original about it. It is a mere conglomeration of all the other animated films of the era, including the notorious Last Dance number. In the middle of the movie, this ad hoc feminist statement also emerges out of the blue. What the hell was that? Chapter 3. Warner Brothers, The Iron Giant vs. Space Jam 2. This is followed by Warner Brothers Animation Group. The Iron Giant is the top-rated movie with a rating of 8.1 on IMDb. And frankly, this is a rather perverted thing to do since the Lego movie is standing right there. But I get it. The Iron Giant is in effect iconic. I've seen it. I do not think it is crazy good or anything. I believe it is okay. But I suppose that you have to credit this movie with its concept and its animation. It is a film full of hope running through the veins, and I like that. Space Jam 2 is the least rated film by Warner Brothers with the rating of 4.5 in IMDb. And yes, it is not completely animated, but that seems to be enough. I had never watched Space Jam 2, and thus I needed to rent it. And oh boy, this one was weird. To begin with, I detest the concept of this film. It is all about the algorithm of Warner Brothers controlling all the IP and all the characters as mere computer programs. Batman vs. LeBron? It is simply a cynical perception towards movies. There is also little of the Looney Tunes in this movie. It's crazy. When LeBron James is taken to the Looney Tunes world, everybody is gone, except Bugs Bunny. They were all heading to other realms such as DC and Harry Potter, mostly DC. It was for no reason. The only explanation why this was included in the movie is that we can visit other worlds and see other property characters. It was not at all in keeping with this story. It is the mindless cameos, of which I dislike. Chapter 4. Walt Disney Animation, The Lion King Reigns. The Lion King is the highest rated movie by Walt Disney Disney animation with rating 8.5 on IMDb, and I believe that is reasonable. It is the most legendary one. I say naturally it was going to be this film, but to be frank, to me it seems that this is the best Disney movie, like when you select the character of Mario as your favorite. It is tedious and secure, but that does not diminish the quality of the story or the quality of the music. I believe that the voice of Simba is weird in the older age, but otherwise I suppose it does deserve the position. Home on the Range is the worst one at 5.4 on IMDb. Now listen, I hate farm movies. I despise the atmosphere of farm films, and this movie takes in the atmosphere and adds it to its life force. It breathes and dies by the farm feeling, but when you forget that, I do not know. Well, I guess it is not that bad. I do not know why it is rated so low. Nothing impressive about it, I mean, so perhaps that is why it is so low. Chapter 5. Studio Ghibli, The Masterpiece, and the Misfire. Studio Ghibli. Spirited Away has taken the first place at 8.6, of course. Whatever, it is a masterpiece film. I don't know. I have watched bits of this film over the years, but I do not believe I have ever watched it in its entirety. So, I sat down and watched it. The world is fantastic and creative. The characters are so likable, each of them one by one. Ghibli movies are quite unlike most of the other films that I view. I would not say that there is a moving power that brings the characters into the next scene as a narrative. They are more connected by the themes of the film and the feeling of the characters. Things simply happen, and sometimes that works with me. Here it does. This movie is simply a time warper, and then in the end you cannot say why you liked it, but you just know you did. On the other hand, Earwig and the Witch at 4.7 on IMDb. I had not watched this one and therefore needed to watch it, and oh no, I didn't like it. This is really deplorable. I figured this would be the studio that would not have a bad movie, but only a movie that has simply been the worst of all the movies they have made. But I was wrong. This movie is based on the story of Earwig, the daughter of a witch who is left in an orphanage when she is very young. Several years later, she is taken by two sour uncles as an additional pair of hands, and through her heart, she turns this dysfunctional family into a loving family. Even the last thing that I just said does not happen on screen. At the final part of the movie, we jump 6 months later, and then they are in love with each other. Prior to that, however, we are simply witnessing Earwig pestering the two witches an hour, not making any effort to court them. Chapter 6. Blue Sky, Ice Age, and the Magnet Meteor. Moving on to Blue Sky. Ice Age is the #1 movie with 7.5. Ice Age is, you see, not bad. I do not disagree that it is the best movie that Blue Sky has ever done, but it is not a movie that hits the ground either. Ice Age. Collision Course is the lowest rated movie of Blue Sky with a 5.7 on IMDb. The plot is extremely simple. A meteor is coming to strike the Earth. They determine the point of impact. They go there. There's a bunch of magnets, so they fling the magnets in the air with a volcano, and then the meteorite goes along. And too many characters in this film. You might well take half out of them and it would be a better thing. The tiger girlfriend of Diego literally has, I believe, 5 lines. The humor is also, in the most part, bad. Like really bad. Some positives. Simon Pegg as Buck is giving 100%, and that is respectable. And the movie from beginning to end looks genuinely beautiful. Unless you are a Disney or Pixar film, you no longer get animated films that look like this anymore. Chapter 7. Illumination. The first was their finest. Illumination. Despicable Me is their highest rating movie with 7.6 on IMDb. It is actually so irritating to me that they have not surpassed their first movie, such as Oh Why, they have not even come anywhere near. But I say, The Despicable Me is a good film. The number of times that the minions are used is appropriate. The characters are sensitive and motivated in contrast to all the other films. Cringe humor is still present, but it is watered down by real funny moments. I respect Despicable Me. Conversely, there is Hop with a rating of 5.4 on IMDb. I used to view Hop quite frequently when I was younger, and frankly, I did not find it bad. Similar, it is not very offensive. I believe that it is funny that the rabbit was voiced by a terrible man according to all accounts. Sad, though disregarding the sadness, humorous. The character of James Marsden is likable, and it is another good one to add to the James Marsden driving a CGI character in Car Cinematic Universe. It is, sure, it is probably bad, but it is not that bad. I believe that this 5.4 mark is quite cruel. Chapter 8. Nickelodeon. Rango rules. Sandy Cheeks sinks. Rango is the highest rated movie by Nickelodeon with a rating of 7.3 on IMDb. The best review of an entire studio with a rating of 7.3 is rather poor, yet I will claim that I believe it is somewhat unjust. Rango is good. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mutant Mayhem is good. The original SpongeBob film is spectacular. That is the best movie, though as per IMDb, Rango is the top rated. The Sandy Cheeks movie. Saving Bikini Bottom is the lowest rated movie on IMDb IMDb with a rating of 3.7 by Nickelodeon, and God forbid, this one stung me. It's really bad. The plot is ludicrous. The images are even offensive. The characters are dreadful. The comedy is not understandable. Chapter 9. Laika. Coraline reigns supreme. The highest rated movie of Laika is Coraline with a rating of 7.8 on IMDb, and I believe Coraline is one of the most frightening movies to ever do it. So bad I would have button eyes. It'd ruin my life, but I believe it is also one of the most beautiful movies of all times. I would give anything to crawl into that tunnel. Fantastic movie. And Laika is yet to reach the same heights. I recently saw Kubo, which was much childish than I was expecting, but that is neither here nor there. IMDb ranks Laika as the worst movie with 6.7, which I personally like. It has some fine voice acting. I am fond of Hugh Jackman in anything, and Zach Galifianakis is already in this before he sold out and accepted to be in anything literally. It also has very beautiful shots and animation, a light-hearted sense of fun, and good characters. The third act is somewhat of a letdown in my opinion, though a good watch nonetheless. Chapter 10. DreamWorks, How to Train Your Dragon Soars. DreamWorks. How to Train Your Dragon is the best rated movie with a rating of 8.1. It is certainly the best one. I have watched it so many times of my lifetime, and it is only getting better with age. Besides the story, which is of course amazing, there is something incredible about the music that I would like to mention. You simply forget how good it is until you listen to it again. Part of the sequences are dreamlike. This movie exploits the cinematic, animations, and storytelling arts. Certified classic. The lowest rated DreamWorks movie is Boss Baby 2 with a score of 5.9 on IMDb. I was a little bit negative just there, but I do not really mind. I believe that the move to mature the two protagonists in the previous film was in fact a very clever one, and it prevents this movie to be an all-out reenactment of the previous one. Tim and his brother, the Boss Baby, are also at war, which it seems they do not see anymore, something that the Boss Baby is betrayed by. But literally that is unreasonable. Tim has a family and the Boss Baby apparently went a long way away, and as I am sure the Boss Baby was always welcome at the home of Tim whenever he felt like going there. He just never really did. These scores were very sensible. WALL-E? Absolutely. The Lion King? Fair, but boring choice. Across the Spider-Verse? Deserved. But others? Lightyear over Cars 2? Earwig and The Witch in Existence? And the Sandy Cheeks film being worse than Emoji Movie? That one haunts me yet. Thanks for watching, and to see more of the best and worst of animation, like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what was the worst animated film you have ever watched? I'll see you later.